Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu-alaikum. Diayanu, Paheragale, Ni Hao, Chunashumme, Washmale. Ohio Gonzalez, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bojo, Privet, Keifahal. Ale Shuma Chatore, Ahlan Wasal, Marhaba. Buna, mucho gracias, Swabia, Bali Kareaya. Hoş geldin and Ayosaya, Huyamora, Chivato, Chiha, Yod, Kalimera, Ferutan, and a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PD World and watching World this morning. Alongside my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Ms. Haja Satti. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, hello Haja, Assalamu alaikum. How are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for introducing me. Jazakallah khair. So today happens to be the 9th of July and it is the death anniversary of the Mother-in-Millat or mother of our nation. That happens to be Miss Fatima Jinnah. So if we analyze her life and we see that she's such an inspirational lady because she was a dentist at the time when people or Muslims particularly were not preferring to go towards the education, and yet she acquired her education, and she was not just a dentist by profession. She also was someone who struggled a lot with Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and she had a very collectivistic and reformistic sort of a movement in which she participated.
And Haja, you know, in addition to this, Mohtarma Fatima Jinnah was actually born on July 31st in 1893 in Karachi and passed away on this day in 1967. And she actually played a vital role in the creation of Pakistan, as you have just mentioned. And during the Pakistan movement, she actively supported Quaid-e-Azam through her guidance. Women also participated in the movement alongside men in the streets and alleys of urban areas. So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, you know, we all prayers for the Mother-in-Millat as well, and for all of those people who've contributed in the creation of what we call the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. And today I guess that the responsibility lies upon all of us, right?
Yes, and obviously if we analyze that how collectively men and women work together to create a reformistic sort of a movement to acquire the homeland that we call Pakistan. But as we are talking about the women and we are talking about the reformistic journeys and how they reform the entire society. So Shahzad, since you've been to also a lot of mountainous areas of Pakistan, and we have seen that Pakistan is blessed with an amazing landscape. So you will find that there will be temperature of almost, you know, minus 16 degree in the northern areas, and if you go towards the south, you will find temperature as high as 50 or 60 degree, and that would feel like, you know, 80 or 90 degree, right? So alhamdulillah, we have been blessed by such sort of a diverse landscape. And when we talk about mountain, I think mountain, going to the mountains, retreating towards the mountain can humble you in the proudest moment, right? When you feel that you are everything, and when you go to mountain, you retreat towards there and you find that, you know, such a magnanimous being that Allah created. And in the Quran it is said that mountains are a peg for the earth, right? So they keep the earth on their place, right?
Exactly. You know, it maintains the equilibrium as well. And you know, very rightfully you've mentioned that, because I still remember that for the very first time when I actually saw Pasu cones, or when I went to Hunza, you know, the only thing that I could ever think was, I was like, man, Allah, you're so beautiful. You've created such magnanimous things, you know, on this planet, and you just cannot stop doing that. But imagine that with this love, people actually go beyond just by saying Shukr Alhamdulillah. What they do is, they're like, hey, you know what, let's go trekking. Hey, you know what, you know, let's go, you know, somewhere, probably do some adventure and whatnot. Now, imagine most of the time what happens is that over here in Pakistan, we do have a very famous name, Samina Beg. First of all, you know, I would certainly want to give her a lot of prayers as well. Alhamdulillah, she's been rescued. We hope that, you know, that you get well as soon as possible, Samina. But a lot of people have actually been setting examples. First, number one, obviously, they might have been breaking through their own thresholds, you know, not just that. Imagine that when you go to the Khunjrab Pass, there are a lot of people which actually tell you that, you know, the oxygen level is going to drop down as well. So, you know, you might actually feel out of breath. Like, okay, now imagine that we came across this amazing Wonder Woman or Iron Lady, I might refer to her like that, because of the fact that, you know, that her childhood was really very basic and simple, just like ours. We really never went to, you know, trekking, or we never thought that, okay, you know, we're going to base camps and whatnot. But imagine right from 2021, she thought, hey, you know what, I'm going to do something extraordinary. You know, imagine that she was at the Mount Everest base camp. She went to the Nanga Parbat base camp, Raka Poshi, Sumbar Pass, Naltar Pass, Rush Lake. So she made sure that she's going to conquer it all. But not just that, ladies and gentlemen, imagine that she participated in a race which is actually referred to as world's highest and the toughest ever marathon, which takes place as with the name of Everest Marathon. It takes you 1 or 2 days to trek to the start line. She actually went over there and she made sure that she's going to get the third position in the women category. We're very lucky that we've been joined by such an inspiration today. And she did it all by herself. You know, she worked, she earned money, and she spent it where she thought that it was right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've been joined by Miss Rabia Ali. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum. Thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you so
Right,
much.
thank you so much, Ms. Rabia, for joining us. And please explain to us, what prompted your interest in trekking and mountaineering. And I think mountaineering is, for us, it might be a retreat or for a vacation spot, but it's a sport out there, right? And it can give you a lot of fortitude, and it could scare you and then indulge you, in your courage. So please explain that to us, your journey.
Okay, for me, mountains were always like something big, something I want to conquer, or something which is, I used to go for sightseeing, but I never went for
Mountaineering or trekking or hiking.
Yeah, so in 2021, I went for first trek, and I was like, oh my God, I am actually made for this.
Really?
Because the struggle of the trek, on the track, and you are like staying in camp nights, you have no waters, you have limited food to live, and then you have to spend the whole night. Maybe some stone is all the time pinching in your on your back. So yeah, so I found peace actually in trekking.
True.
I would say I started connecting with myself.
And I think that's a spiritual sort of, it's an ascension towards your spiritual self, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen, especially in the Quran, we've seen in Islamic tales that how Prophet Moses communicated to Allah on the mountain or Mount Sinai, right, as we call it in English. Yes, and we've seen that, mountains have a special connection when you have to have a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah connected to his prophets or his waliullahs through on the mountains, right?
Same, you're right.
And you also explained that you have a very interesting sort of a journey. You have a journey of the depression, and then you overcame it, and then mountaineering. So what is the connection between the two? Is there any connection between the two?
Okay, I think, yeah, there is a connection, because I was going through with severe depression. It was clinically diagnosed, and I was on psychiatric medicines when I make this decision to go for Everest Marathon. Actually, I would say when I used to go on mountains, what happens, I can connect with myself. I think hustle bustle of the life of city never allows you to connect to yourself, and never let you know what are your fears, what are disturbing you actually. So I think the nature gave me this chance to connect with me, and in this journey of marathon training, actually I did a lot of exercise.
Right.
Okay.
So
7 months. You said that you trained for 7 months.
Yeah, I trained for 7 months because I'm not a professional athlete. I haven't run any race before this Everest Marathon. So the exercise, the training, the strength training actually helped me to
But that's something which is very fascinating, because this is not something which happens just like that and you go over there and you score third place. Now imagine that people have been training all their lives to actually come around a moment where, they have a medal in their neck as well. So imagine, let's talk about it. First of all, because what happens is that with depression, what I know for sure is that people are unable, it's their inability to do anything. They won't socialize, they certainly do not want to get out of their rooms, they do not want to do anything. And here you are. So is it because of the fact that back in 2021 someone recommended it to you, you came across it, because this is something which we actually fill in a lot of questionnaires as well. Where did you hear about us, or who did you hear about us as well? So how did that happen? Who told you that, okay, yeah, probably, you should go and do this?
Okay, in 2023 I went for Everest Base Camp Trek.
Okay.
So where did I found this sports gets to happen over here, the marathon, Everest Marathon, the highest altitude marathon. So yeah, I get to know there, but my doctors, my psychiatrist, my therapist always suggesting me to do some exercise. Go for exercise. It will help you out. It will release your happy hormones. And I was always like that I'm not able to do that.
Right.
How you can like push me for this? But then I was like, now I have this goal and I need to work for this goal. So I have to come out of the bed, I have to go.
Yeah.
So this was the story.
And I think Rabia mentioned a very interesting point, and we've seen particularly in the literature too, and in our discourses too, that you talked about in a mountain is something to be conquered, right? So we come across this notion a lot, right? So there's a binary between it's become an enemy, but when you transcend and go towards or descend that mountain, you find that's not your enemy out there, it's your friend out there, right? So did you had this feeling, you know, this is your enemy, you have to conquer, or those feelings change or transpired you into something else?
No, for me, mountains were always like, you know, it used to give me peace. It used to make me humble. The struggles I'm going through for my life, then you go there and you struggle with, you know, taking even a single step sometimes, sleeping at night. So more gratitude comes to in your personality.
Right.
So for me, mountains were always like welcoming me and giving me some, you know, peace, soothing me. So my overall opinion for
So they
mountains
were always your
is-
friends.
Yeah, they are.
You never thought of them as enemies even before you went to the base camps or, you know, for the marathon. I think that's wonderful. But do you think that, you know, this journey actually helped you overcome anxiety and depression? And how do you think that it has helped you? And, you know, share it in a way where other people can actually take something away as well.
Okay, I think for me, mountains work because I like mountaineering. I like going for treks. But one thing which will work for everyone, that's the exercise actually. We Pakistani thinks that exercise is might something luxury or we don't need it. We don't need it in our daily routine life. So I think exercise really helped me out. Really
Exactly,
helped
and
me
it's
out.
because of the fact that, you know, I've realized it, Hajra, myself as well, because while you're there, I am not sure whether I'm saying the correct word or not, but I think it does release a lot of endorphins as well. And, you know, when it does that, you're like, okay, I think I'm hooked to this thing as well, and it's more like an addiction now.
Exactly, and I was coming to this point that people who are sports person or who are heavily invested in sports, it is their sort of an addiction.
True.
And you get that high, sort of a high that you want to achieve that, right?
Just like eating, you know, chausa or sindri aam these days as
And
well.
one more thing, when you exercise a lot now, so your body acts, you know, they are more than your mental acts. So you when you went to sleep, so there is no thoughts.
And that's exactly what I used to tell Hajra as well. Now imagine that if somebody is deadlifting 150 kgs, do you think they can think about anything else?
No.
The only thing they're focusing on is, okay, this is my goal for now, let's do that. But you know what you've done extraordinarily well is that this is something that you've funded yourself, you know, maybe you want to call it sponsor, you want to call it funding yourself. That's one thing. I want to come down to that.
Shahzad, I would ask you one question. Would you ever want to go to a mountaineering, like professional mountaineering? And Rabia, what is the best time for mountaineering in Pakistan and other hills?
Okay, in Pakistan, May to August is the best time. And in Nepal.
And which places in Pakistan?
I think in Pakistan,
Kashabram
all the
Kashabram
northern areas are okay. They are like
8,000
May to September is our time.
Okay.
But the good thing is in Nepal, April, March, April, May, 3 months are the time, and then September and October.
Right.
So their peak time is not our peak time, and our peak time is not their peak time.
So you can continuously do that.
So you can continuously do that.
I think it's wonderful, but most of the important aspect to this is that, you know, it's a dangerous sport, and, you know, it's not a sport for everybody. You really need a lot of gear. You need to prepare yourself. It's an expensive sport as well. A lot of people might not know about it. So most of the time, you know, I think retaliation actually comes from within your household. You know, अम्मी मना कर रही हैं, dad's not allowing you as well, भाई कह रहा है बहन कहाँ जा रही हो, you know, all of that. So how did you get to that point where everybody is like, अच्छा जहाँ जाना जाओ, हमारी जान छोड़ो, कोई मसला नहीं.
Okay, I think the first step is always very difficult.
Yeah.
When I went for first trek now,
2021.
2021, it was like a huge thing for my family, and why do you need this, and what are you doing there?
राबिया के अब्बा मना क्यों नहीं करते आप? You know, something like that.
Yeah,
and especially if you have children, right? So how do you manage that with the 3 young kids?
Okay, for that I think you have to prepare your kids from very beginning. Like you cannot control everyone.
True.
You cannot control your kids even. So it was like whole journey. I think Allah Ta'ala is preparing situations for you when He wants something from you. So from very young age, my kids were staying
Nano's house?
like at not Nano's house, but with their elders.
Okay.
And I'm going to hospital with someone else and the stuff like that. So first time it was very difficult. After that, they were like, okay, I think she won't. Now we cannot stop her.
Yeah.
So then it became like, but it's still not very easy. It's still
And
not
obviously,
very easy.
you know, we truly agree to that as well, because for people like me, even, you know, I have 3 lovely daughters, alhamdulillah, and I do see, you know, how my wife actually struggles to kind of get time for her as well. But is it always the sort of a feeling when you reach to that, you know, mountaintop and you're like, thank God, you know, this
Yeah,
is the place for me. This is where I need to be. Is it always that feeling?
Yeah, it's always like that.
Okay,
It's
and-
always like that.
Yeah, and what happens is that most of the time when you've taken up for a task or when you've signed up for a task which is very difficult, while you're at it, you know, while you're executing whatever mission that you have set for yourself or goal for yourself, what happens is that you do get double-minded. Ki yaar, वापस चलते हैं, you know, let's just go back. I don't know if I'll be able to do it because there's nobody to
Yeah.
push you, right?
Yeah.
Ki, Rabia, you can do it because it's a marathon. Nobody's
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
You
no.
know, it has already taken you 2 days to kind of trek to get to the starting line. Did you ever come across such thought processes, and how did you overcome that?
Okay.
Because
to
that's
start
the
to-
hero mindset, right?
Yeah. Here I want to correct you. It's not 2 days. It's 12 to 14 days.
12 to 14 days trek.
Yeah.
मैं तो नहीं भाग रहा।
Start to.
मैं नहीं जा रहा भाई।
Because obviously you don't have to run fast now because of the
No,
oxygen.
no, no.
and
But you're
no,
trekking
just to
14
go-
days non-stop, and then
No,
not
trekking
non-stop.
14 days to go for the to starting line to
Okay.
reach to the starting line,
True.
and there you go with rest. Some
course, of
one
course.
day rest or
Okay.
maybe nights you are sleeping. You have to climatize because altitude hits very hard if you don't climatize over there. So yeah, it wasn't easy, and sometimes just let's go back kind of stuff comes.
yeah, no, but you have to share it in a
But-
way where everybody understands what's that sort of a feeling.
But for me, it was like do or die because it was a big
कि
thing
मैं इस
for
तरह
me.
वापस नहीं जाऊंगी, करके
No,
जाऊंगी.
because the stuff is, I did a lot of things for just
Yeah,
for
to be
this
there.
one one event to achieve this. I worked on my health. I worked on my finances. I worked
Food,
on
everything, nutrition.
you know, the clothes, the joggers, the shoes, you know, every little thing. So for me, it was do or die.
And when you got to know that, okay, you know, while you're running, you know, you saw these 2-3 ladies, you know, pass by you as well, 2 of them at least because you scored the 3rd position. What were you like? Okay, yaar, ये किधर जा रही है? अब इसको थोड़ा आहिस्ता तो हो जाए. Allah, please help me. You know, something like that.
No, actually in endurance sports, the good thing is everyone is trying to beat your own barriers.
Yeah, okay.
And it's actually a personal, I would say personal race
Achievement.
within yourself.
Okay.
You try to break your mental and physical barriers.
All
So actually you are not racing with others.
So you're racing with your own self.
Your own self.
And how
And
long is the distance of the
How
marathon?
has that changed you as a person, right? So you talked about endurance, you were talking about the fortitude that is, and I think when you are out of your comfort zone, that is where your actual learning, actual growth starts to hit you, right? So what was that point, you know, and Shahzad asked you about your challenges, and if you want to relate some, you know, interesting anecdotes you encountered in that mountain areas. I'm pretty sure you have lots of memories there, right? So please relate to us.
Okay, one thing I would say that there were a lot of challenges, but the only good part was when there are a lot of people poking on you and pointing on you or maybe taunting, there would be some persons who will always appreciate
True.
you. And I would say in Nepal, when I was there with other athletes who were professional athletes, they really appreciated me.
Mashallah.
They were like, wow girl, if you have taken this decision to run this marathon and you are not an athlete, you haven't run any race, so this is your achievement. Even taking this decision is your achievement. So
Right.
yeah, I would say their help was a lot.
Alhamdulillah.
These words, you know, a little pat on
Pat.
your back, it was a lot. It was a
And
lot.
I think this is what is important, because you need to find your own tribe, because when you are doing something, you will encounter a lot of resistance. There will be people who will be mocking you, taunting you and degrading you for doing things, but there are going to be people who are going to appreciate you, right? So make sure that you place yourself in those people who appreciate you, who encourage you, and find your own tribe. And I think this is where we also need to differentiate between the constructive criticism versus the destructive sort of a criticism. criticism, right? So constructive criticism is always a good part. It helps you nourish yourself and helps you grow. But again, it's very important that you need to find your own tribe that will help you, that will support you. Thank you so much, Ms. Rabia, for coming here, for sharing your very inspirational journey. And we always say that mountains are, I think, creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that allows us a deeper insight into ourselves, where we can self-reflect, where we can ruminate, and like our esteemed guest mentioned here, that it allows you to retreat from all the hustle and bustle and the cacophony of this very busy city life, where we find, or we will lose contact with our inner self. So we are going on.
And Haja, in addition to this, I kind of got out of it as well, that most of the times when you pick up on something which you actually love the most, I think that's when you're going to see like-minded people as well, and that's where you certainly need to be in life as well, where you get to see those people who actually think the way you do as well. Thank you so much for the inspiration for all our viewers in 46 different countries. Ladies and gentlemen, we're heading out towards a short break, but once we come back, right after Runner, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be joined by people, who actually go to school, throughout the year. But what to do in summer vacations? I think let's ask the students. What ideas do they have for all the other children who are out there? Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Welcome back, and before going on to the break, Shahzad alluded to sort of the conversation that we will be developing in this segment particularly. So Shahzad, I do remember when we were growing up, there was a trend of us going to academies, because every one of our peers was moving to the academies, and it was a very trendy thing. But
I never liked it as well. Imagine, our mothers telling us that, okay, beta, you've done well in the 8th grade, now you need to learn about 9th grade in your summer vacations. Why?
And the most, I think, hectic thing was that after the school or after your college, you have to move to an academy, right? After an hour, that was very hectic. Yes, but I think that was a trendy thing, and they don't want to miss out on what is happening around us, and because every kid is doing that. But now I see the trend has shifted, and a lot of people are engaging in the summer camps, right? And the concept of summer camp has changed a lot. So for us, it was more very study centric, and now it's more fun centric. People are engaging, or lots of fun schools have cropped up, and they are focusing on the pool parties and on all of the extracurricular activities, hands-on activities. So we are going to explore this trend. What does that mean? And especially for the students who are coming from OA levels background, right? Because there has a already very hectic, study regime for them. They have to study because their O levels coming, and this is I think, tough time for us as a students, because everyone is saying your entire life depends on it. And when you come out from this stage, you feel that was nothing, it was all life.
स्कूल पे पढ़ लो सब ठीक हो जाएगा, कॉलेज कर लो सब ठीक हो जाएगा,
मैट्रिक के नंबर अच्छे आ जाए तो फिर जिंदगी
यूनिवर्सिटी कर लो सब ठीक हो जाएगा, अभी तक इंतजार कर रहे हैं सब ठीक हो जाएगा.
That's very true, but I don't think so. This is something Hawks created to just misguide us. But without any further ado, we are very glad that we have been joined by a student from the city school. She happens to be Miss Samreen Ahmed. She is the student of grade 10. Assalamu alaikum, Samreen, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming over. It's wonderful to have you. And alongside her, we're very lucky that we've been joined by one of one, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ishan. He studies in the 11th grade from City School. Hello, Ishan. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. I'm fine.
Thank you so much, fine young man, for being with us. Lovely to have you guys over here. First of all,
So Samreen, tell us about, summer camp. So is it like study centric, like we used to study, or is it more fun centric?
And would you want to attend summer camp or no?
It's more centered around studying, and it's obviously held in the summer break. And personally, I don't like to join it because in summer, obviously, it's very hot and it's quite burdensome. So I prefer studying at home.
Still studying in summer vacations?
Yeah, revising, but obviously with some relaxation at
home.
What
would you revise? Because it's the year end for your education, educational year, and then obviously after your summer vacations, you're going to go in newer grade, right? So what would you study? मैं तो यही कहूँगा घर में हब्बू अभी तो किताबें ही आई जब आएंगी तो नए साल की देख लेंगे क्या पढ़ना है.
It's actually different in O levels.
Okay, so you already know.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's the problem. So are you still studying in summer vacation? Is that your idea that children need to study in summer vacation?
I think we should study, but not studying all
the time.
All the time. But
right.
obviously there should be some relaxation included. and obviously also other extracurricular activities.
So let's get Ishan's perspective on that as well. You know,
And-
so
and
what's the boys' view?
And I think before we add to this conversation, Shahzad, so one thing that was very conspicuous by its absence during our time was the heat waves, right? So nowadays the weather is so hot and so unconducive to the study environment out there, and the uniforms that these kids are wearing. I mean, I'm really glad that I came out of that phase and I don't have to wear that uniform. It was
And Haja, we never had
torture.
air conditioners in our classrooms. These children, alhamdulillah, are blessed. They have air conditioners in their classrooms as well. So Ishan, what's your idea of summer vacations?
I think that summer vacations are just waste of time, to be honest. But studying there is
Waste of time by being at home or being at school?
being at school, because you need to have a
Be
break.
careful, your principal's watching it.
But Shahzad,
Okay, I think
what are your hobbies?
we need to give everybody freedom of speech as well. So, madam, if you're watching, I think, you know, it's the kids' heart, you know, let them speak their heart out as well. So, okay, it's waste of time going to school. What else?
So what are your co-curricular activities? What are the hobbies that you enjoy? Are you into sports?
Yes,
What sports do you
Cricket?
play?
mostly cricket.
Aha,
Yes.
kya baat hai, Shahzada. How did you like Pakistan team performing in the T20 World Cup?
First, मुझे थोड़ा सा like I was had hope in him, but
Yeah.
after the match, no hope at all.
After that, I know. Okay, now what happens is that, you know, it gets really tricky with parents because they're certainly every single day they're thinking about, you know, giving something better to their kids from the previous day. And I know for myself as a father to 3 lovely daughters that every single day I'm thinking, okay, what activity can be introduced?
True.
Where can we take them? Can it be swimming? Can it be cycling? And, you know, it's really challenging for us. Can it be arts classes and whatnot? So whatever interests them. Can it be a movie night, you know, with the family? So what's your idea of summer vacation? Is it more like, you know, just have food, sleep, play PlayStation, do something? Because according to a data which was being collected from the last 2 or 3 years as well, it says that, you know, there has been a decline in the physical activity of the children these days as well, and it's an enormous decline. It's not like कि जी 10 लड़के कम खेल रहे हैं. It's like majority of the people are actually not doing any outdoor activities. What's your idea?
Hooked to mobile, right?
I
Yeah.
think that you should try to do as many physical activities you can. Like for a little older, you can join gym or something.
Yep.
For
For
big
for
physical.
people your age.
yes, or you can also go for cycling
Yeah.
or track running.
Yeah.
And-
Do
and
you do that? Do you do that?
Yeah, I do that mostly.
And are you trying to ask your father to actually give you a car to drive as well?
I
You're
mean,
underage. Don't say that, okay? That's gonna be
But-
risky.
but that's-
And what about cell phones? Do you have a cell phone?
Yes, I do.
Are you on it all most of the time?
I mostly have.
Who
it
do you
on.
talk to?
I mean, to my friends mostly.
Who friends?
Okay, that was
I think
just
everybody's getting the
that-
idea over
that
here
was
as well.
just a fun question. So Samreen, what do you want to be when you are done with your studies? What do you aspire to be professionally?
I have currently taken up computer science as a subject,
Wow.
so I'll probably pursue in that career. But I also have a lot of options, like if I want to be, I'm going to want to go into the psychology field, or if I
That's
want to go into graphic designing. So my options are open at the moment. When I'll go into some higher grades, then I'll maybe decide. I'm not very sure right now because I
Right.
feel like I
And
still
I
have
think
time.
that keeps on changing, especially when you are at this age, because you have so many interests and you are learning a lot. And one time that one particular hobby or interest intrigues you, and then, you know, when you grow up, you start to explore some other hobby, some other habit. So Ishan, what about you? What do you want to be when you grow up, or I mean, when you're done with
grown up,
the,
mashallah.
when you're done with the education? I'm talking about, you know, academically.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm also like almost clueless to what I should do.
Right.
Yes. So
But
really do
any
not
idea?
want to
Any
decide.
idea? What does your parents want to be? Because most of them, they want you to be.
Because you're the only son. Most of them they're like, ईशान बेटे ये कर लेना, ईशान बेटे ये कर लेना, ईशान बेटे ये कर लेना. अच्छा अम्मी सारा कुछ कर लो. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm like my mother says a lot, like different talk about different fields,
For
like
example?
engineering or software engineering, etc. Like this.
So have they ever, you know, kind of shared their will that, you know, they certainly want you to be a doctor as well?
Yes.
I know
I've
it
got
for
that
sure.
quote,
Every
like,
parent over here in
multiple
Pakistan,
times.
either doctor I did engineering. You know, there's so many disciplines
Do you
these
want your
days.
daughters to be like doctors or engineers?
If they want it, you know, if they
Right.
want it, I
That's
think it's their
wonderful.
choice as well, because one of them always speaks about it, because we have a family of doctors, but the rest two, they
right.
never speak about it. So it's totally
I
their
mean, they're
choice.
too young to, I mean, have
Yeah,
some
kind
sort
of.
of idea. They will grow up, their interest will
Imagine,
keep
you know,
on
whenever
changing.
somebody used to actually ask me, what do you want to be? I was always like a father. You know, that's what I want to be when I grow up. And it was certainly that way, because I certainly would always picturize how my father
Right.
is, you know, the kind of personality they had. So I would always be like, I just want to be like my father, and that's what it is. How do you think that, you know, that your parents actually play a role in influencing you to do what they want you to do?
Thankfully, my parents don't pressure me about what I want to do or what I want to pursue in the future, because they trust me to pursue
beta
what
aapke
I
karo.
love. Yes.
Don't you think that, you know, that there needs to be some sort of wisdom which needs to come out, and that or probably should be shared by the elders of the family as well, rather than somebody deciding for their career by themselves at a very young age, you know?
Yes, well, obviously, I take advice from them.
किसकी एडवाइस ज़्यादा सुनती है आप, अम्मी की अब्बू की? That's a trick question, by the way. yeah, because both of them are watching. Hello, uncle, auntie, assalamu alaikum, how are you? Yeah.
Mrs. Samri, what are your hobbies, side activities that you engage in?
My like main hobby is reading.
Okay.
I love to read novels and
Which
writing.
genre?
Also. I like mystery and thrillers.
Right.
And
Fiction mostly.
Yeah, fiction. I like fiction.
Right.
Because, you know, Hajra actually loves to read as well, and because of her pressure, you know, I have to read too as well, because I
Oh my
do not
God,
want
I
to
have
sit
such
over
a pressurizing
because I do not want to
influencer.
sit over here without reading. So what I did was, you know, because of this pressure, while I was away, you know, I downloaded Blinkist. You know, I hope that, you know, you might know
Okay.
about it, and, you know, kind of, I was glad that somebody's reading a book to me. I didn't have to read it. It was wonderful. And Ishan, coming to you now, you know, because over here in Pakistan, it's the survival of the fittest, and it's no lie for anybody. It's the truth on the face. It's written on the wall. And, you know, people who want to accomplish something will really certainly need to do multiple jobs as well, or probably should actually come out with ideas. Probably we do have a lot of YouTubers, vloggers, and they're doing a phenomenal job in terms of content creation for them, if we are to rate them at the kind of success
Okay.
or the money they make. But at times I do see that, you know, that we're lacking models, how the entire family is on their YouTube vlogs. You know, certainly we come from a generation where we would never want our sisters or mothers to be in a vlog, right? Or probably show our private life. You know, that's the kind of models that we grew up. What do you think about it? Do you think that that's the right thing for them to do? Do you think that it's their choice? You know, we are a free country, they can do whatever. And do you think that in future, probably you will opt for this kind of work as well?
I mean, it depends. Like, if you want to go for it, you can go.
Yeah,
But it's in the end of the day, it's dependent on you.
true.
And what sort of personality
It's
do
your like choice.
Yeah, but then
If you
तुम
want
जब
to
बोलने
do-
लगते हो मुझे लगता है मुस्कुराने लगे हो अभी, माशाल्लाह. I think that's the way he
So,
is, right?
Ishan, what sort of a personality do you have? Explain to us, you know, what do you do in your free time, and how was your childhood, growing up, and then what sort of factors influence you into becoming who you are as of today?
And is it good to be the only son or child in the family? You know, do you get spoiled a lot?
I mean, little bit.
little bit,
Right.
yes. Okay. And
So
you know
explain your
Hajra asked?
personality, please. Are
I'm
you shy?
a little bit.
A little bit.
Right.
But
And what do you do in your free time?
I mean, mostly I game or
Okay.
mostly go to gym or game. Mostly, this
Yeah.
is the two main things I do.
Right.
And at the side, I'm really good with computer sciences, and
Okay.
I try to learn them in
Oh,
the
that's
free
nice.
time.
And you know, it's great because this is something which I do feel at times as well, that, you know, we've actually come to an age where we can learn quite a lot of things.
Of course.
But it takes a lot of will, you know, for us to actually learn a new skill as well. And with kids, you know, you're so adaptive, they can pick up on anything. So please make sure that you guys pick up on the latest trends. You know, get into information technology, do whatever you think is best for you. Always seek advice from your elders, only from your family members, you know, not from your friends or anybody else. I think because they will be the ones who will be giving you the best advice as well. But thank you so much, children,
Thank you
for
Thank
being
you
with
for
us.
having
Lovely
us.
to be in
So much.
conversation with you. And for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, it's the summer vacation part of the year. And I guess that every household, at times, you know, towards the evening actually feels like that, you know, I feel like it because all my children all of a sudden are shouting, running after each other. I'm like, okay, where am I? And, you know, I have to kind of gather myself again because I'm not the sort of a parent who's actually going to shout on them or yell on them. I'm like, okay, let them do whatever they want to do because it's their safe haven. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you give your children the ability to do whatever they want to do and that they're able to speak whatever they feel within their own
And
hearts.
make sure that you develop a connection with
Yep.
them, because that's very important. Whatever parenting is about, it's about connection. It's never about perfection. So I do feel a lot of people, a lot of parents are striving towards that perfection, giving them a good lifestyle, a good household, earning a lot of money. And in that race, they are compromising the connection thing. But again, of course, parenting is not an easy job. It's a very difficult job. But with that, we are wrapping up a segment. Until next time, it's a goodbye. Allah Hafiz and good
It's a
morning.
good morning. Have a great day. Bye. Thank you so much.